As a child, I was scared of the sun.
What age?
I think this would probably be when I was 4, 5, 6, 7, that sort of age. When I was 4,567. I was still in my infancy as a god.
What was it about the sun that you found frightening?
It was looking at it.
Oh, yeah.
Did you just go out at night or something? You never went out during the day?
No, I did go out during the day, but I would sort of obsessively keep my eyes towards the ground.
Right.
The problem was that someone used the phrase, if you look at the sun, you will go blind.
Funny enough, exactly the same advice for me as well, but it was page 3 of The Sun. So you would still go out, but you would avoid it anyway.
And then, occasionally you sort of turn your head and the sun goes through your vision, and it can create that slight, when you blink, you can still see.
And you thought that was burning.
And I thought, right, well, what's that? Is that the beginning of the great eternal darkness?
Yeah. You really had a happy childhood, didn't you? Then? We were all then on our rally grifters, and you were thinking about the eternal darkness.
Did anything else scare you as a child?
Oh, yes, most things.
What else scared you?
Well, the trouble is that some children are timorous and some children are reckless.
Yeah. And I'm Sagittarius.
And in order to save the lives of reckless children, warnings are calibrated for their safety, the result of which is that the timorous live in a state of perpetual terror. What I needed to be told is, most days you won't die, it's fine. I wasn't ever going to tear across a 3-lane motorway.
Right.
The very existence of a 3-lane motorway in the same postcode as me made me not want to leave the house.
And presumably you would wait for about 3 weeks before swimming after a meal.
No, and having an ice cream in the afternoon and then thinking, well, I should probably not swim for the rest of the holiday. And then someone says, when I was an adult, you don't have to wait at all. It's all a myth. You can swim and eat.
Did you? While looking into the sun.
So what are we thinking?
Adam?
I'm thinking true fact.
I'm going through.
So you're saying it's the truth?
Yeah.
Go on, we'll say it's true.
You're going to say that it's true. OK. David, truth or lie?
It is true.
It's a whole woman's story.
Yes, it's true. As a child, David was scared of the sun. Next.
When I was a child, the only thing that would get me to sleep was my parents reading me the takeaway menu from our local Chinese restaurant, the Flying Chopstick.
David's team.
At what age was this?
I'd say it kicked off at 7 and probably lasted about a year.
Was it read out in any type of accent?
No. Well, my dad...
Would you say any type? There's one specific one. If they read it in a French accent, it'd be nice. It's quite surreal, isn't it? But I'll go with it.
My dad is half Polish, half Lithuanian, so it had a sort of Eastern European tinge.
Could you give us a kind of a little rendition?
So it would be something along the lines of...
This will be interesting.
It'll be something
We'll just separate ourselves from the person doing the routine.
You don't want to be in the clip when it comes on the news, do you?
So Dad would say, for example, black bean with chop suey, something like that. Black bean.
Was your dad the fella from Sesame Street? One pork balls. Two lovely pork balls.
Lychee for the end of the menu.
Lychee, that's the one.
I know that.
Lychees.
The flying chopstick, they just serve a single lychee, don't they?
Lychees. It was the staple. It was the 70s. Things were a little bit sparse then. It was Wilson's, things are hard. I can't remember his speech, but you know the one I mean. Things are terrible.
Wilson's things are hard.
Wilson's things are...
Harold Wilson, things are hard.
We've only got lychees. Things are hard. We've only got lychees, guys.
How far into the menu would you drift off?
That's a very good question.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah. My eye would be sort of fully open, like that. A little bit like...
Just one eye open.
One eye open, always looking, always just checking. And then I would say, by the end of the first page, the eye would be down.
So you used to go to sleep
page.
half a face at a time?
Can you remember the first time that this happened?
It would have been... I think it was on a Friday night. Mum and Dad would have been entertaining, and I laughed a lot and then fell asleep.
So what do you think, then? David Hay, how is this striking you?
The detail, the fact that she knew straight away what day it was on a Friday night. I don't remember what day it was when you were 7.
Oh, I
can't
did.
remember last week. I get punched in the head for a living, but...
But, David, they did it a lot. They did it a lot.
Repetition, eh?
Repetition. So I knew the menu back to front, because they had to do it so
Well,
often.
that's just Chinese. It would be that way, anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Romesh, what are you thinking?
I think it... I don't buy it.
David? Actually, I've got two Davids. We'll call you the Haymaker and the Librarian. What are you thinking, David?
Well, I think I don't believe it.
You realise, I like the system you've got there. We're going to call you the Haymaker and the Librarian. So what do you think, David?
I don't think she's at the age of 7.
Yeah.
I think a 7-year-old child will require a coherent story.
All right, so you're saying it's a lie. Well, let's find out. Mel, truth or lie?
The story was, in fact, a lie!
As a child, my Christmas was once cut short when my mum took the decorations down halfway through Christmas Day.
David's team.
Oh, right, this...
Thank you.
Was she always down on Christmas, or was... What happened this year?
Well, this year in particular,
Yeah.
just halfway through Christmas Day, she's like, I've had enough. We've done the presents.
Had you done the lunch?
Yeah, we've done lunch. So let's just...
What was the time?
2:30.
OK, so pre-Queen.
Oh, we don't do the Queen in my family.
I'm so sorry, David.
You don't listen to the Queen?
No.
Did it become...
I mean, she's the head of state. 8 minutes a year,
Yeah.
you know, and 6.5 if you skip the bit with the trumpets.
Was it a great dramatic gesture, or was it sort of...
It was quite dramatic because
Did she... I mean, were the things were on the ceiling?
And it's taking the tree down and putting a plastic tree back into a box.
The stuff on the ceiling, did she have to get
We
a
didn't have
ladder?
stuff on the ceiling.
Well, you had no
Well,
tinsel, like, round the room.
No.
Oh, this was hardly a Christmas, wasn't it? You don't watch the Queen's speech. I expect you were having a pizza. You're having a pizza and she put the fake tree away like an umbrella. Fine, pop that away. This is barely worth hearing about.
Was there a specific incident that set her off?
She was very disappointed with me and my sisters because...
In general.
It's been a tough year. I think I had got one present and I had not liked it. And so that was a bad point. And my sister Cheryl hadn't got out of bed yet.
Now, tell us about your Christmas Day. I'm imagining there's a lot more structure to it. And respect is a word that's coming to my mind.
Thanks, Rob. Oh, I don't know. I think I have quite a normal Christmas Day.
I imagine Bucks Fizz at 11.
No, we don't book a band.
So, David, what is your team thinking? Could this be true?
Yes,
it's
well,
heartbreaking.
Completely rings true, I think. What do you think, Tom?
Well, whatever I think would be wrong, so...
Well, that could be... If that's 100%, that's very useful.
I'd ask her.
What do you think, then?
Well, I'd go with Tom, really.
I've had an insight.
Tom's had an insight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she's not telling the truth.
Oh, what? Why do you think that?
I don't know. It just came over me.
Right.
I think she's telling the truth. But it's quite easy to know who to side with here. I literally sit at home all day watching Homes Under the Hammer, and you're next to a Knight of the Realm.
Yeah, but I'd go with him if I were you.
True. True, you're saying it's true. Sarah, a tragic tale.
A tragic
Fact
tale.
or fiction?
This tale was true.
I told you. As a child, my mum got so fed up with me wandering off, she made me wear a bell around my neck whenever we went shopping.
Lee's team.
Was she a cow?
I'm not sure that Miles's mother being a cow would explain it, because I don't think it's the cow's own policy to wear the bells.
So, first of all, how bad were you at wandering? Was this a regular thing?
I wouldn't stay still. Any sort of open space I would see as a thing to run towards rather than...
So what shopping centres were you going to that was such wide spaces to run in?
I suppose Brent Cross Shopping Centre would have been our regular haunt. But
OK.
No.
What age was this?
I would have been about probably 4 till the age of 7.
And when you were in infant school, every time you went out to the playground, did everyone think it was playtime over and straight back in again?
It was only done on family outings.
Only done on shopping days.
Shopping
OK.
days.
And is it a traditional bell with the little thing inside that clanks
what does
against
it look
the...
like?
Like a sort of cat's bell, essentially.
But hang on, there's one massive problem here. A cat is on all fours and the bell dangles. The bell is going to be touching your body and it won't dangle. Discuss.
Well, she attached it to a part of me that dangled.
What was the furthest you ever got? What were you searching for?
I hope it wasn't sparrows, because you'd never get them.
So in Brent Cross terms, I once got from John Lewis to Phoenix.
Nice, very nice. Miles, could I ask you to tell me how big the bell was, but accurately?
I suppose 3/4 of the size of a ping-pong ball.
Hang on.
And was it a sphere or bell-shaped?
Any bell, by definition, is bell-shaped.
What do you think, Sarah?
It sounds a bit draconian. You know, a bell round your child's neck.
Yeah, I think it would be a terrible failing of parenting, so not for me.
It's just not a system that works. If
No.
you've drifted into a Morris dance area, then you're going to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
That's what you'd have in the horror film version of your life, where you run off and then your mother's desperately looking for you, and then suddenly she sees a load of Morris dancers and it totally confuses
Lots
the
of
system.
close-ups
It'd be
of grinning Morris
horrifying
dancers.
moment. Oh, the Morris dancers, I can't hear Miles' little tinkling bell.
Well, you could be describing any Saturday of my childhood.
So what are you going to say, Lee?
We're not having it.
They're not having
We're
it.
not having
They're
this.
saying it's a lie. Miles, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
That was a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Miles' mum didn't make him wear a bell around his neck.
As a child, I once secretly cashed my mum's family allowance and used the money to buy a cat.
David's team.
So, how did you perpetrate this fraud?
Lot of strong allegations straight away. It's not a fraud.
Is it not a fraud?
I didn't say I was my mum.
Right.
My mum, single mother at work, so quite often couldn't get to the post office during opening hours, so my job was to get the family allowance. I'm the eldest.
Right. And how old were you?
11.
I see. So you were permitted to collect the money.
Yes,
What
yes.
you weren't then authorised to do by your mother is to spend it on a cat.
Not explicitly.
So it's not fraud, it's theft.
So what happened then, Sarah? Talk us through it.
So I went to the post office.
Yes.
Got the family allowance.
Yes.
Quite near the post office, there was lots of different shops. A high street, if you will. Oddly, on the way to go to the post office, I had popped into the pet shop and there were 2 little kittens and they were kind of all snuggled and sleepy. Oh, very sweet, very sweet. So I went to the post office, got the money, it was about £30, and then on the way back, one of the cats had been sold and the other one was there, very lonely.
Is this the story you told your mum, or is this the truth?
Well, this is... We don't find that out till the end of the round.
I'm getting old, I keep forgetting the format.
He was meowing, he was sad, and I realised that I now was holding enough money to buy him, and so I did.
How did you tell your mum?
I told my mum that I'd gone to the post office as instructed, picked up the family allowance. But then when I had been walking home, it had been very windy, the money had flown away. When I was looking for the money, in the grass, I found this kitten.
Did she fall for that?
No.
Oh. I was going to say, if she did, can we get her on that team?
So what happened? Were you allowed to keep the cat?
Well, for a very, very short amount of time, the cat was in our house, but my mum was looking for somewhere else, basically to give him away to a home where he would be properly cared for, and then she told me that he had blown away.
Oh. You were only 11 and she went, oh, where's the cat? He blew away.
11 is not too young to learn the bitter lesson of how miserable life is.
Can I just say this has completely ruined my card in a minute, where I will be reading out that I, in the 1990s, bought a cat off a woman in a pub for 15 quid.
What are you thinking, Nicola? Does this story strike you as true?
I think there's a lot of detail in it.
A lot of detail, yes.
Yeah. You can picture the high street, the pet shop, the post office.
Yes, you've got a wonderful imagination, though, haven't you? You're very gifted in that way, aren't you?
Well, I mean, we're talking about cats here.
Yeah, there are no cats.
No, and yet we vaguely know what we're banging on about.
You brought cats to life as vividly as Andrew Lloyd Webber did all those years ago.
Well, I never saw the live show. I just saw the clip from the film.
I auditioned for that film and didn't get it. And you know who played the part I went up for?
Who?
Judi Dench.
How dare you! Ray Winston. Ray Winston got the part. Dan, what are you thinking?
I feel like I want to believe Sarah on this one. I feel there's an element of truth there.
Well, I think the situation is we just completely believe this. Now, if it's a lie, there's something diabolical that Sarah has done, because we've just totally accepted it.
All right. And can I just say, I'm enjoying the length of your shirt sleeves tonight.
Oh, they're getting longer and longer, aren't
You look like Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. Sarah, they're saying it's true. Was it true, or were you telling a lie? Yes, it's true. Sarah really did use her mum's family allowance to buy a cat.
As a child, because I was so shy, I named all the toes on my left foot and formed a gang with them.
Least.
OK. Well, would you like to tell us the names of the gang, starting with the big toe and going down the row?
Big toe was Daddy Bruiser.
Daddy Bruiser?
Yeah. The one next to it was Long Pete. Because that toe's unusually long on me.
Just before you say any more, just remember, there will be a recap.
Right, yeah, sure.
Keep these names short and rhyming.
OK. And then there was Lindsay.
Lindsay?
The one in the middle.
You've taken my advice, then.
And then my ring toe I named after my Auntie Barbara.
What was that one called?
That was called Auntie Barbara.
Oh, not just Barbara. Auntie Barbara.
Auntie Barbara.
OK.
Yeah. And the one at the end was called Crushed Daisy, because I used to have a lot of accidents and I used to sort of wang my foot into, you know, like skirting boards or whatever it would be.
Why Auntie Barbara rather than any other auntie?
She's my only auntie.
That's absolutely watertight.
Yeah.
Is she? That's an unusual thing to say about someone's auntie. Your auntie looks very watertight.
So would you talk to your toes?
I would talk to them at night. It was night time when I'd get particularly nervous.
Let's go back to young Mike in his bedroom, alone at night, with his gang. Just recreate for us a little interaction with the toe gang.
It's not going to be untoward, is it? Your parents aren't at the door hearing you say, come on, let me give you a little stroke, Auntie Barbara.
At the end of the bed is a wardrobe where the wood carving is quite sort of ghoulish, quite a sort of Munchkin scream thing, which I think was part of the problem. And I'd say, I'd tuck the toes in, don't look at that guy, he can't hurt you, he's made of wood. And then we'd get under the duvet with a little torch and I'd light them up one by one. Would occasionally sort of draw little hats on them and faces and stuff.
Did you not think to ask your parents to just move the cupboard that was scaring you?
I did repeatedly.
And they just didn't?
They refused.
Because they what?
They refused to toe the line. Round of applause.
What I want to know is whether some people groaned and clapped. If so, what was going through their mind?
All right, Leisha, what are you thinking?
I don't think it's the truth.
Because I feel like, why would you only focus on one foot if you've got another 5 on this side?
Alan, what do you think?
It is so bizarre, it has to be true. I
Does
mean,
it?
I feel terribly sorry for you, really. I think it's...
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say it's a lie.
It's a lie. OK. Mike, truth or lie?
I was, in fact, telling a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Mike did not name his toes. Lady...
As a child, my parents would only let me watch ITV if I put a blanket over my head when the adverts came on.
David Steve.
Interesting. What was the reasoning?
First of all, I wanted to buy the things that were on the adverts, and I would pester them if it was food, if it was fizzy drinks, if it was toys, whatever was advertised.
In those days, cigarettes, alcohol. What age would you have been then when this was happening?
Well, I'd been about sort of 8 or 9.
And was it just you? I mean, were there siblings?
Yeah, I've got 2 brothers, and
So they'd have blankets on their heads as well?
We would share, like a duvet cover.
We're tough up north, we had to share one blanket between 3 of us. When my mum used to cover our heads so we wouldn't buy out.
Who would be administering the blanket?
My mum or my dad would be, you know, the babysitter, they were told. That was our
babysitter?
Yeah. There was one night I remember particularly, our cleaner was our babysitter, Mrs. Williams. She was quite elderly. She was told by my mum to, if we pressed number 3 on the remote control, she had to she'd cover our eyes. She didn't get it, so she came and she held the blanket in front of the television, and this became a revolutionary new way of not watching the television.
So you had a remote control?
It was one of those on a wire. And the worst thing, we used to record programmes on a VCR, and we had to fast forward through all the adverts when we were watching.
With the blanket or without the blanket?
This was post-blanket times.
Bez, what do you think?
Well, it's that outrageous. It's got to be true.
What do you think, Motsi?
I've been watching your mom the whole time, and she seems just as surprised as us. I'm gonna say it's not true.
Steve's mum is in the front row of the audience.
Yeah. She's not my real mum. No.
All right, David, what are you going to say?
Do you think it's a lie?
I just think it's a lie.
Yeah, and you think it's true?
I think it's
This is what I
true.
call a nightmare scenario. I suddenly think, of course, it's absurd. Putting a blanket over a child's head. No, it's a lie.
OK, you're saying it's a lie. Steve, was it the truth or was it, in fact, a lie?
Well, guys, it was a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Steve's parents didn't make him put a blanket over his head when the adverts came on.
OK. As a child, I struck up a friendship with the 9 men who lived in my garden.
Please, Tim.
Who were the 9 men that lived in your garden?
So they were gardeners. Which sounds weird, but in Zimbabwe, for your gardeners to live in your garden, it's not a big deal because there's so much space for them.
So how big was this garden?
It was huge.
I mean, in acreage.
What, 40 acres?
40
Is that
acres?
a lot?
Is it a lot?
At the time, I was a child, so I was interested in things like Pokemon, not acreage.
I was interested in acreage.
If they lived there, at what point did they become not gardeners, but tenants?
So they provided services, right? So gardening, they were singing gardeners.
They were what?
They discovered they had a talent for harmonising.
Right.
So they would sing whilst gardening.
What were their names?
Yes.
OK, listen.
And if you say dopey and sneezy, etc., you're going to run out.
OK, one of them was called Clever. One of them was called Blessing. I can't remember the others. But what I do remember is my dad, I'm his only son, so I'm his pride and joy, OK? Right. This man would do anything.
You're his only son.
OK. I knew that he would rely on me to give him the word on the ground as to which gardeners should we get rid of. It's a lot of people to pay.
Ah. So he basically only wanted a couple, but he thought start with 9, get it down to 2, and they're the full-time gardeners. How old are you at this time?
It's like maybe 8, 9.
So did you whittle it down to 2 gardeners for your dad?
Eventually whittled it down to 1.
To 1?
Because one day I had a catapult and one of the gardeners was reading the Bible. I took a fruit. It was like a cherry, but orange.
Oh, an orange?
No, it was... It was as small as a cherry.
Oh,
so
right.
I take this
Tangerine.
cherry. Let me land.
A kumquat.
A kumquat. So, shot the kumquat and it hit him at the back of the head. And he then went to my dad and said, look, this is what your son has done to me. So eventually we ended up with 1, and his name was Blessing. So it turns out to be the complete right
Do
name
anything
for
to him, hit him with a rounder's bat, didn't mind.
Yeah.
And you said they sung, they could harmonise.
Until 8 of them got fired, and then it was Blessing singing on his own. Covered in bruises.
What are you thinking, Alice?
I don't believe it. That seemed like a very, very ornate tissue of lies to me.
What about you, Bob?
You wielded a lot of power as an 8-year-old.
He did, didn't he?
Weapons testing on your staff and...
I mean, he doesn't come out of it well, does he?
But I changed. I'm a changed man.
Right, what's it going to be?
I say true.
We'll say it's true.
You're going to say that it's true. OK, Munya, was it true or was it a lie?
Well, it was indeed true.
Yes, it's true.
As a child, I had a pet brick.
Wait.
As a child, I had a pet brick.
Oh, you as well?
You can't have a pet brick.
I know it's true because it's on his Wikipedia page.
What was the name of your pet brick? What was the name?
Johnny.
Johnny.
But you're from Glasgow, aren't you?
Yep.
It's sandstone in Glasgow.
I think they've got plenty of bricks in Glasgow.
Yeah. Did you get it from your own house?
No, my dad gave it to me.
Oh. That must have been a rather bare Christmas.
Why did he give you a brick?
He gave me a whole load of different stuff to build a wee wall. I kept the brick.
He gave you a build-your-own-wall kit.
And how old were you when this was happening?
I was about 7.
So you took one of these bricks away and tell us how you came to adopt it as a pet.
I had it as a pet on a string for a bit.
What?
And it was like a dog. We couldn't
Where
get a
on earth
dog.
would you take a brick?
Well, just round about our bit.
Oh, dear. I hope you didn't throw a ball into the river for him. When you had it on a lead, you mean outside or around the house?
Well, on a string.
Yeah. What, in the street?
Yeah.
No.
What? I'm a 7-year-old kid. It was charming.
But did it look
That's an important thing to remember. You're talking about as if he's doing it now. He was 7. Did you decorate it? Did you make it look like an animal or a human?
He had a lot of human qualities.
And the most obvious being?
Like, we would talk.
Well, you say we. Was he more of a listener?
So you had it attached to a string. How do you do that?
You tie a knot. Sometimes we would play a game with it where you could swing it round and people had to jump so it didn't hit them in the legs. So it must have been fairly secure.
Like extreme skipping.
Yes.
That, isn't it?
Did it ever break anyone's ankles or anything?
No, it hit a few knees.
Oh, was it not put down?
What are you thinking, Lucy, specifically about what Frankie has said?
Yeah, not everything.
My instinct is not to believe it, but it's very unusual, isn't it?
What do you think, Mo?
I think it might be true. Have you got brothers or sisters?
Yeah.
You're the youngest or the oldest?
No, I was in the middle.
Ah, yeah, he definitely had a pet brick. The middle...
That says it all.
He had a pet brick.
All right,
the middle children are crazy, man.
Let's make a decision.
Lucy?
What happened?
Have you just spotted them?
What bird are they?
I don't know, a pair of tits.
Don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to say crane or heron.
I think it's false.
You think it's not? You think it's false? You think it's true?
I think it's true.
And I
Don't go with me there.
I wasn't going to. I'll go with Mo because he's more certain.
You can say it's true. Right, Frankie. A 7-year-old Frankie Boyle with a brick for a pet. Truth or lie?
That is a lie.
Yes, it was a lie. Frankie didn't have a pet brick.
As a child, I had so many imaginary friends, we formed an imaginary gang.
3.
Right. Did the gang have a name?
Yes, the gang were called the Guyb.
The what? The Guyb?
They were called the Guyb.
How are you spelling that?
I never had cause to spell it. I'm talking about, you know...
If you had to spell it now, how would you spell it?
G-Y hyphen by B-I-E-S.
How many were in the gang?
There was quite a few. There were 12.
The same number as apostles.
Well, it does occur to me that this was a harmless little messiah complex.
Right. So did you appoint yourself head of the imaginary?
Yeah, I was basically Jesus.
Do you still keep in touch with the rest of the gang?
They were imaginary friends, so they sort of disappeared as soon as I stopped thinking about them.
What, did you have names for the Guybys?
I think I borrowed names from people I knew at school and my brother. They were like Mark and Andrew and all the apostles.
Oh,
no. They were, and Chris.
Judas.
Chris isn't...
Chris and obviously Judas Iscariot.
Yes.
Did you have a favourite Guyby?
Chris was good.
Did you have a rival gang, the Guybys? Was there a feud or anything like that?
Well, there was always our main enemy was the Joker, which I think I borrowed from Batman.
What would he do, the Joker?
Oh, just, you know, rob banks and stuff, and we would, we'd chase him on our bike.
All 13
they were very good at getting on the back of the bike.
You were like a Red Cross display team, weren't you?
They were. I sort of imagined them sort of diagonally stacked.
Did you all sleep in one bed?
Oh, they weren't really... I mean...
This
is pretty... As much as I encourage the Guyboys... No, they were very much a pre-sexual phenomenon.
Have we established yet why they were actually called the Guybys?
No, it's just a sort of sound that children make. Well, that this child made.
See, the thing is, Guyby sounds like baby talk. You know, it might be like just some words that you formulated, but you also were aware of Marvel comic enemies at that age.
Batman wasn't a Marvel character.
Batman wasn't Marvel?
No, but Marvel's Spider-Man, Captain America, the Hulk. Superman was Action Comics.
I hate him when he does that Stephen Fry thing, don't you? All that knowledge.
All that knowledge. An answer is what we need, so... Go now.
Just a minute. Are you doing me again?
I'm flirting round the edges of you, Terry. If you're not careful, I'll set fire to you. Right.
Right, what are you going to say, then? What are you, truth or lie?
Sounds plausible. Young guy, read a few comics, read the Bible, merged the two in his head and formed the Guybys.
Wow. It's like having Inspector Frost in the studio
right.
with us. What about you, Katie? Which way are you leaning?
Well, I think he clearly has a wonderful imagination. That's clear. So I think, yes, it's true.
OK. I will say it's true.
You're going to say true? OK. Robert Webb, truth or lie?
It is a true thing.
Yes, it was all true. When Robert was a child, he did form an imaginary gang from his many imaginary friends. You know, it may seem odd, but loads of people have tons of imaginary friends. It's called being on Facebook.
As a child, rather than sleeping with a comfort blanket or teddy bear, I slept with a potato.
Lee Mack, what do you think?
Was it the same potato, or did you have different potatoes over the years?
Well, that was the problem, because you get attached to a potato. So when you get attached to a potato, it's rotting a bit, but your comfort, it's like your teddy bear's it smells of your old teddy bear, or whatever it happens to be. The potato is my favourite potato, and I used to draw on it.
So it was one potato the whole time?
The actual truth is, it was taken away from me, and I cried and I cried and I cried, but they threw it out. So it took me like another 3 or 4 weeks to get used to the new potato.
Dale, did they have names, your potatoes?
No.
You slept with a potato that you didn't even know its name?
Well...
Yes, slag!
Did you hug them? Did you have them close to your face?
I used to put it on the pillow like that, and I used to bash it.
Bash it? Why did you bash it? Is that how you show love, Dale?
What's the bashing?
Well, I used to like the dent it made in the pillow.
Oh, so you'd bash it onto the pillow, and then you'd
And then I
sleep.
would take it out. So that's where you're going to bed later.
Be honest, Dale. Is the truth of this story that your parents would shout through the door, "What are you doing in there?" And you'd say, "Nothing, just bashing the potato"?
You haven't asked me why I stopped, and this is why you'll realise...
Dale, why did you stop?
Because Mrs. Marks, who was our next-door neighbour, I heard her talking to my mother in the driveway, and I heard Mrs. Marks say to my mother, "Is he still sleeping with a potato?" I think that they've been talking about it, and she probably said to Mrs. Marks, "Did any of your children ever want to sleep with a potato?"
So what are you thinking, Lee?
Miranda.
I sort of want it to be true, because he's so sweet.
Yeah.
I do think the two winning things are that that's where you're going to sleep,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Marks.
Well, do you know what?
Is he still
That's the
sleeping
thing.
with...
I think Mrs. Marks exists.
Yeah.
And I like Mrs. Marks. I like what she represents. She represents the sanity of the street.
And the beauty
Whereas
is...
the Wintons, they're all over the shop.
So what are you going to say, Lee? What's it going to be?
What do you think?
I think
you think it's true?
I do think it's
I
true.
think it's true.
All right, I'll go with my team and say that it's true.
You're saying it's true. OK. Dale Winton, the potato in the bed. Was it the truth or was it a lie?
I have slept with many things over the years, because I'm a very old man, but I have never slept with a potato. It's a lie!
Yes, it was a very convincing lie. As a child, Dale didn't sleep with a potato. Richard, you're next.
OK. When I worked in McDonald's, my long-term girlfriend joined the queue to my till, and when she got to the counter, she dumped me.
Lee.
So how old were you?
I was 18. I think I was 18.
OK, so you're 18 years old.
How long did you consider a long-term girlfriend to be when you were 18?
Well, she was actually my first girlfriend. Her name was, presumably is, Kate. Not in touch, she could have died. I mean, I don't know. You know, but,
Yeah, look on the bright side.
Kay dumped you. Was she special?
She was.
It's a Special K joke. I'm not explaining it all. Am I allowed to mention Special K, Rob, or do I have to mention crunching on cornflakes?
Well, I think when it comes to breakfast cereals, there is one that stands head and shoulders above all the rest.
So how long was long-term?
2 years. But when you're 18, that's a long-term
Can
relationship.
you remember what she said to you?
I can't actually, Miranda, no. But what made it doubly heartbreaking was I loved that job, and...
What?
Well, you didn't get a sack, did you?
Well, no, but I loved the job, and then she came in and broke my heart at this place that meant so much to me, and that added to the emotional impact of what she said.
What was it about the job that you love so much?
Let me tell you a fact about this place. This is amazing, right? The regular meat, which is the meat that goes in their signature burger, it goes from frozen to fully cooked in 44 seconds. I found this amazing.
Fascinating. I wonder why she dumped you.
I think we should get back to the girl.
Well, she got to the front of the queue. She dumped me there and then. And I left my station, didn't serve the other customers, and then I went to the storeroom and I sat on a box of gherkins. And I cried my eyes out.
Oh, that's gherkins for you, though.
Kay put in her order. She puts in her order and says, I would like burger.
Kate. Kate.
Oh, that changes everything.
What's her name?
Kate.
Hang on, Richard, what's her name?
Special K joke doesn't work. I didn't want to say anything.
No.
Oh, it's Kate.
Kate.
I thought it deserved a bigger laugh.
I
I wondered why the hell you said it. You're always trying to work it round to Crunchy Nut. Leave him alone.
Why don't... Richard, you be young Richard, OK, at the counter of this fast food outlet.
OK.
David, you are a normal customer.
OK.
Dale is Kate.
Oh. Could I please have a fillet o fish, but with no cheese? Hold the cheese, hold the cheese, and put the cheese on the chips, please.
But not with cheese and bread.
Excuse me, where are the toilets?
They're actually just next to my till, actually. The door's just about there.
I'll, see you later, Kate.
You got it. Oh, gosh, it's my girlfriend, Kate. Hello, Kate.
Well, I thought I'd come in and see you tonight. I haven't heard from...
What's funny about... Oh, it's Meryl Streep in The Iron Lady.
I'm afraid, Richard, it's over. You're just not my kind of guy.
Oh, beautiful. So what are you thinking, Lee? Does this sound credible to you?
I'm suddenly going truth, and I think he was dumped in a queue at said burger joint.
I find it staggering that he remembers all the facts that he remembers about how long it takes meat to defrost, and yet he cannot remember what she actually said when she got to the front of the queue.
But is he...
The answer to that is he's a man.
So, Lee, what's it going to be? Truth or lie?
Are we going... You're saying lie, Claire? Is that what you're saying?
Say...
Miranda says true.
Yeah.
Go on, we'll go with Miranda and say it's true.
You're going to say it's true? OK. Richard Bacon, was that the truth or was it a lie?
That story is true.
Yes, it's true. When Richard worked in a fast food restaurant, his long-term girlfriend joined the queue to his till and dumped him when she got to the counter. And then, to rub salt in the wound, she ordered a Happy Meal.